Hello, this is DS, the Degenerate Square. I'm going to talk about the NFL, a couple NFL openers, and a couple over-unders. Usually I don't play over-unders because I'm a square, well, a degenerate too, and so it's not like I have money laying around for 4 months, 5 months where I can just wait a whole year. But for people who are, economically in a better spot, over-unders can be a good opportunity to cash in. So I'm just going to focus on 2 games out of the gate here, and then I'll release more NFL plays as it gets closer to week 1. But I want to start with some Tampa Bay talk. And Tampa and Brady have been in the news a ton lately with, him being gone 11 days and the offensive line upheaval. But when the number came out, the over-under came out at 11.5, and yes, it was heavily juiced where, it was heavily juiced where the, towards playing the over. But, and it's more so now with all the news about the injuries in the offensive line and the, Brady being gone for a week and a half, but I still think there's value there. So right now at under 11.5, it's like negative 180, and that's a lot of juice. And that's another thing. People, when a lot of these so-called sharps quote over-unders, they don't tell you what the number is. Like I heard somebody on Sirius Radio today saying, "Oh, I love the Saints at negative 8.5." Well, yes, no, they love the Saints at over 8.5. I'm like, hell, I do too. I think the Saints are going to win more than 8 games, but that negative 8.5 is juiced to like negative 150, or that if you take the over. So, but back to the Bucks. I think if they go 11-6 this year, I think that would be extremely good for what they're looking at, and then you still cash in. Now, if you want to go to 10.5, and it's plus money at 10.5, I think that's a good bet too. If the couple games go their way, though, that's more possible that they get to 11-6. But I think taking the under on the 11.5 number is basically free money. But back to the Bucks. Look, at some point, Brady is going to really regress, and is that age 45? Is it 46? Is it 56? I don't know, but you literally cannot keep playing forever at a high level. Now, even though the stats haven't really shown it the last couple of years, in fact, his stats last year were better than historical averages for him, you do see that there's a lot of deficits when comparing his current level of performance and abilities to where he was just 5 or 6 years ago. That's to be expected. Now he'll just kind of sit down more when the pocket starts to break down, whereas 5 years ago he would try to scamper out a little bit. This is a guy who's the all-time greatest. Well, he's the all-time greatest, period, but he's the all-time greatest at managing the pocket. What I mean by that, of course, is when he feels people around him, nobody in the history of the game is better at feeling that pressure and then sliding up. Now, what everybody always says about Brady is, well, he doesn't like pressure directly, in front of his face. And that makes sense because he's not that quick moving left or right. So that's why the loss of Jensen and the change at the 2 guards is just so important, even if the new center does a pretty decent job, and even if losing Kappa is not as bad as some people fear. I think it's still reasonable to expect a 10 to 15% drop-off in pass protection overall. The last 2 years, pass protection's been really good. Them and Brady really work the pocket together well. If that falls off 10 or 15%, it may affect Brady, at this extremely advanced age more than most people. So I know you could literally say this every year for the last 6 or 7 years, that this is the year Brady falls off. Trust me. I'm going to say it again. This is the year Brady really falls off. And I'm not an anti-Brady guy. He's the greatest ever. Everybody will admit that. But you look at what's going on around the offensive line, 45 years old. I'm not a big believer in Russell Gage. I don't know why everybody's saying, oh, Gage is going to be a different. Russell Gage has never been a difference maker, okay? Julio Jones is washed. I don't know that Evans can carry the whole load, and Gronk, he's not likely to come back too. I know everybody's saying, well, we'll see. Well, we will see, but I think if things get off to kind of a rough start, and with their schedule, I think they very well may be off to a rough start. I don't think Gronk is likely to come back. So I love the under on that 11.5 for a win total for the Bucs, and I love the Cowboys in Week 1. You can play it at. I'm just going to play the money line. I'm just playing it at. No, I'm going to take the 2.5 points for the purpose of this show to keep track of records for NFL. So give me Dallas plus 2.5. I don't think it'll go to 3. It might. If you want to wait and see if it goes to 3 at kickoff, you can. But I'm playing it at plus 2.5, and I think Dallas is going to be fine. I think people are making too much of the loss of Cooper. I think CeeDee Lamb was better anyway. He'll step in as that number 1. I think losing Randy Gregory also is a non-factor. He was a no-show 80% of the time anyway. And I think Dak, you know what you're getting in Dak, So I do like Dallas to win that game. So I've got them in that game. The other game I'll go ahead and pick now for a Week 1 game is the Bills-Rams Thursday night opener. And I'm going to join the crowd and jump on the Bills bandwagon. Everybody is on the Bills bandwagon. Their over-under has, it's still 11.5 in the most played number, but it's juiced all the way up to like negative 180 now. I still think, even at that number, it's safe to play the over. I mean, I think the Bills are going to win 13, 14 games. Okay, so taking that 11.5 gives you a little cushion of a game or two. They're just too good. Adding Miller helps. Allen, I think, is going to win MVP. If you get a decent number for Allen, who's the favorite, but anything that's even semi-reasonable for Allen to win MVP, take it. Again, I don't do futures bets just because I can't hold my money that long. But that's a great futures bet. Even though it's a popular as hell futures bet, Allen to win MVP, is going to hit because the Bills are going to go 14-3. So I love the Bills. Yes, it's on the road in LA, but I mean, playing in Los Angeles is basically like playing a home game. We know that by this point. So, the line is negative 2.5. Just make sure you get it, make sure it doesn't cross the 3. I'm a little worried about that, so play it now. So I played Bills negative 2.5. Play the over 2 for the season total if you're inclined to play season totals. Like I said, I know everybody's on the Bills, but that is one scary team, and it's just lining up to be their year. So to review, we've got Bucks play the season total under at 11.5. Then play the Cowboys plus 2.5 against Tampa Bay in the opener. Look for the Bucks and Brady to finally fall off. And then on the Thursday night game, play the Bills negative 2.5 and play the Bills over 11.5 wins. All right, we'll see how it goes. I'll bring on a lot more picks for Week 1 of the NFL in a couple days and the college picks. But I'll sign off now. It's DS and stay degenerate.